Good morning. You are at me time. Welcome to me time. Everybody needs a little me time, including you, including me. And I want to acknowledge you for taking a few minutes to yourself today. Me time topic today is Feminine Friday, me time. So on Fridays, we're going to be talking about feminine issues, reclaiming our divine femininity. And you're here with me, love coach Heather Hundhausen. And I know that as a powerful role-changing woman, that catching a little time for yourself can really be a challenge. And I promise that we're going to be talking about really big and important stuff today. So stick with me until the end so that you can know what to do for yourself. So I help guide powerful women like you who are struggling between being in control and surrendering into claiming their own light and radiance so that they can make the world a better, bigger, and brighter and more beautiful place. And I want to help you to bring peace into your home. And so today is a really significant topic. I'm so happy that you're here with me today. And so many of us have seen this topic in social media about Me Too. It's a topic that obviously needs to be addressed. And so I'm so pleased about the state of affairs right now, which I think all of these things have been in the dark for so long, and it's finally all being brought into the light. And I do think it's being brought into the light in a sort of a strange way. And I don't really want to get on a soapbox about politics today, but I will say that I do think it's a very interesting time that we're living in when the head of the country is bringing very shadowy subjects into the light. So by shadowy, I mean like the stuff that we don't usually talk about or address or look at. This man is a context for bringing all of that into the light. And it seems that he's not aware that he's doing it, yet on this sort of global level, we are having these conversations that are really big and important. So I digress. Let me get into the meaty material here because I think it's really significant and it's really important and it's something that gets to be brought into the light. So I named my company actually Beautifully Authentic because I truly believe that when we are in our authentic selves, that's when we shine and that's where we're beautiful. And that's when we can really feel exposed and vulnerable, and that's where love happens, and all of that starts internally. And so for the next few weeks, I'm planning on going live every day to show you how self-love is actually the root of all healing, and not having self-love is actually the root of all of your problems in your life. So we have different topics every day. Today's Feminine Friday, and today's topic is Me Too. So here's exactly what I want to share with you guys today. We're going to be talking about how we can move forward as a culture away from shame and abuse and towards love. And before I get into all of that, I would love to have you share this video with your friends and family. Invite them into the Beautifully Authentic Facebook group. Ask them to, if you're watching this on YouTube, ask them to subscribe to the Beautifully Authentic YouTube channel so that we can create more peace on the planet. All right, so let's get into how we can move forward as a culture away from abuse and towards love. That's what I'm going to be sharing in just a moment. And I'm going to be sharing this from a place of actually creating what we want to have happen in our lives, not from a place of a victim stance, but from a place of how can we create what we're really looking for. What I'm going to be sharing with you today is basic information that I actually share in my live workshops and that I share with my coaching couples. The first thing that's needed for relationships to work is safety and trust. And I'm going to get into that in a moment. And first I want to talk about our culture and where this Me Too is coming from. Why is it sexual abuse so pervasive? What is sexual abuse? And I want to get into talking about our shame and our shame as a culture. So in the patriarchal culture that we live in of abuse and objectification, this is the norm. It's almost nearly impossible for a woman to feel like she can express herself beautifully and authentically, which is the name of my company. And it's what I really want to bring people down and back to, being able to beautifully authentic your beautifully, authentically express your true self. So for me, my story is at 20 years old, I actually cut all my hair off, and I wore combat boots and men's jeans and like chains, you know, to signify that you cannot get close to me. I purposefully pulled out all of my badassness and I put it out in front of me to let men know that I was a hell no. And you would, if you tried catcalling me, you'd get a middle finger. You'd probably get some rough words back at you. And this protection that I put on, these walls that I put up, came from a history of actually being objectified in my own family. So let's talk about sexual abuse here for a minute. I read a book called Courage to Heal, which was a book that was written, it was a book written about many women's stories about sexual abuse. And the way that the book started out was there was a checklist. And it was like, okay, if you've been sexually abused, hi Holly, thank you for joining me today. If you've been sexually abused, then maybe you act like this, or maybe you act like this, or maybe you respond like this, or maybe you have these qualities or these qualities. And I remember going through that checklist and being like, why am I checking all these off? I've never been sexually abused. And I couldn't understand why I was checking off all the boxes. So then I read more and more of the book, and I started understanding that sexual abuse isn't just non-consenting sex. There's so much more to it, and that's why so many people are putting Me Too as their Facebook status. And that's why, I think that's why a lot of women are struggling with whether or not they should put Me Too. Because sexual abuse is this funny thing. It's not only just non-consenting sex, it's also objectification. It's also harassment. In my family growing up, I was afraid of the remarks that my own father, grandfather, and uncles would make about my body. I would literally get shown off in public as if I was the girlfriend, not the daughter or the niece. You know, and the man that I was with wouldn't correct the strangers, or even sometimes it would be acquaintances. It'd be like, is this your girlfriend? And he wouldn't say, this is my daughter. Is this sexual abuse? I didn't think so. But after 20 years of it on a daily basis, and having those answers to the sexual abuse questionnaire all be yes, you know, put two and two together. So I'm finding that women are writing hashtag Me Too for various reasons, and some women don't feel that their cajoling and harassment was enough to consider it abuse. But here's the deal: if you don't like it, if it feels bad or wrong, it's abuse. Your body, it's your sexuality, and whether it's physical or verbal, it's abuse if you don't like it. And I work with coaching clients with women who struggle with this in their relationships. You know, like, oh, he only yells at me sometimes, but the rest of the time he's amazing. Yeah, no, that's abuse. If you're saying that, if you hear yourself saying that, you get to acknowledge that you're in an abusive relationship. It's not okay to be pushed around. It's not okay to have sex when you don't want it. It's not okay to have your no not be respected. Okay, so here's the tricky part, because we teach people how to treat us. Okay, so I say it's tricky because I don't want to blame the victim. I don't ever want to do that. And at the same time, I work with creating your reality. I work with women all day long, teaching them about boundaries and having their relationships shift in really powerful ways. And when you start putting boundaries up with an abuser, usually the first thing you'll see is the abuse go way up. Lots more abuse starts happening when you start setting boundaries. Now, it's scary, but it's actually a good thing, because then you're like, wow, holy crap, I really am in a relationship with an abuser. You know what you're dealing with, and you can get out. Okay, so we live in I'm going to shift gears here just a little bit. The platinum rule. Holly, what's the platinum rule? Can you put that in the comments? So we live in a culture of shame. Okay, I'm going to switch gears just a little bit, but the shame culture is part of this, like, oh, he just hits me sometimes, and most of the time he's really great. So shame doesn't like its name. We don't want to talk in public about the things that we're ashamed of, and abuse is one of those things. We have a culture it's thick with shame. We aren't allowed to have sex until we're married, and we aren't allowed to walk down the street naked or publicly display affection, yet in advertising and media, there's half-naked people kissing trying to get you to buy stuff. Like, they're using the taboo against us to have us want what we can't have, okay? So the cultural norm is you can't have it, yet it's spread all over the stuff that you want to purchase so that you can feel less shame about yourself, so you can feel good about yourself. Yet when you purchase it, you still aren't allowed to kiss naked in public, right? So we don't feel good enough about ourselves, so we work harder and we work harder and we buy more stuff, and we think that this stuff is going to get us, you know, release this horrible feeling of shame that we have about ourselves not feeling good enough. Yeah, that's not what happens. And then we have the whole, on top of all of this, we have this whole next level of not only, you know, the naked bodies that we're seeing, or the half-naked bodies that we're seeing in the media are, they're sickly human beings. They're people who aren't eating. They're people who've had plastic surgery, or they're people who've been photoshopped. So as a culture then, as a woman, we compare ourselves with this, then we want to be that. But then at the same time, we're like, wait, I don't want to be objectified. So then we cover it all up. It's so confusing. The shame is happening on so many levels. There's shame in our bodies. There's shame in exposing our bodies. There's shame in our bodies being seen. There's shame in men like noticing our bodies. There's objectification happening. And then there's a lack of boundaries where women are supposed to be these like wonderful, good women, and we don't talk about anything that's happening that's bad. And then we're being abused and we're not allowed to talk about that either. It is pervasive. The shame is pervasive, and it's a crazy cycle. And I mean, I literally, this is really vulnerable of me. Hang on, I'm going to read Holly's rule here, the platinum rule. Do unto others as they would have you do unto them. Instead, do unto them like the golden rule. Do unto others as they would have you do unto them, instead of do unto them. Oh, okay, so we're like treating others the way that we want to be treated. Is that right? Did I get that right? I get to look that one up. So I'm going to be vulnerable here, and I want to tell you like a little, like, please let me know if you guys do this. So this is part of the sort of the sickness that's happening inside of the women's brains, right? So the sickness that's happening in the men's brains, that's like out there in the media right now. We're talking about how men are crossing boundaries and they're doing things they're not supposed to do. And, you know, women are going, oh, I have a voice, I have a voice. Okay, but women, let's get real. Inside of ourselves, we have a conversation going on that's like, oh, that guy, he just wants to have sex with me. Oh, he just wants to, you know, F me. He just wants to screw me. And it's crazy. I was in a women's group and we would talk about this, and it was like, oh, that guy, he just wants to have sex with me. And it's like, that's where our brains go. Our brains aren't thinking, oh, I want to have a deep, loving, intimate, connected relationship with this guy. It's, oh, that guy, he just wants to have sex with me. So think about if you're part of this conversation, you know, this is shameful, like, to admit out loud, right? Nobody wants to say that we're actually thinking this, but like, be honest with yourself. You can give me a little thumbs up if you want to be vulnerable today, or a little heart. Like, how often are you thinking, oh, that guy just wants to have sex with me, and that's why he's doing business with me, or that's why he's being friendly with me, or that's why he says that I'm, you know, good looking, or whatever, right? We as women also turn what they're doing into sex. So the opposite of all of this is bringing love into a relationship. That's what we want to be doing. We want to be dropping the objectification. We want to be dropping the taboo. We want to be dropping this idea that we can't talk about our shame, and we want to move into being loved. So here we have gobs of women who are writing Me Too in their status, and I'm loving the responses that we're getting from men who are stepping up, right? This is like, right now in this moment with the social media and all the hashtags of Me Too, we're admitting that we've been abused, or we're admitting that we've been an abuser. Men are doing the same thing, and it's so awesome to see everybody taking responsibility for the role that they've played in this, whether you've been the victim or whether you've been the abuser. Like, putting it out on the table is how we get rid of our shame culture. It's really beautiful to see the hope that's coming out of this movement. And so there are, oh, let's see, I think I have about 5-6 things that I want to talk about how we can move forward as a culture in getting rid of the shame culture and getting rid of the abuse culture? How can we move towards love? Okay, so number one, it's Heather's message. It's the beautifully authentic message. Start by loving yourself first. We've talked about it in a lot of the other videos this week. Love your own body. Embrace yourself. Have good boundaries. Don't let other people treat you badly. This isn't the video to get into boundaries. I've done that already this week. I also have a training on boundaries on my webpage, Beautifully Authentic. If you want it, grab it. It's for you. I want people to have safe relationships. Is what we're about to get into. How do you create safety in the relationships? But number one starts with loving yourself, and that has to do with boundaries. And if you don't know what I mean, look up the training and learn about boundaries and get them for yourself. And if you're still having trouble, reach out to me and I will help you with it, okay? Number two, when we've experienced sexual abuse, one of the biggest things that we're trying to get back is learning to trust ourselves again. A lot of rape and a lot of abuse happens because we allow ourselves to get into situations with people that we thought we could trust. You know, when we think of rape, we think, oh, there's a bad guy jumping out of the bushes. Like, that doesn't really happen a lot. Of course, it does happen, but most rapes happen with like date rapes or even in our family. These are with people that we thought we could trust, and then we find out that we can't. And then we make up we cement these beliefs in our minds that all people cannot be trusted, especially those closest to us. This is such a heartbreaking belief to have, because then you actually can't allow yourself to experience love. So allow yourself to start working with this belief. Allow yourself to change the belief by looking at how it's not always true, okay? The brain is tricky. It's trying to protect us. We have one bad experience like that and poof, the brain is like, never ever trust anyone or feel safe again. So we have to retrain our brains that there are people in our lives who we can trust, who we can feel safe with. Not everyone is like that abuser. That was one person. And the concern I have with the Me Too movement is that it's teaching our brains that everybody's getting abused and that no one should be trusted. Okay, that's really, really dangerous way of moving forward in the world. I want you to really think about, if you have your focus on how many people are hashtagging Me Too and not have your focus on this is so awesome, we are clearing out our shame culture. Right? You see, like when we're focusing on that we're moving into love, we have an opportunity for huge hope. If we're focusing on how many people have been abused, that's not good, because it's training our brain to not trust, okay? So the way to start with this is you can trust yourself first to know if someone is worth trusting. And usually that's what's been broken when we have an experience of sexual abuse. We thought we could trust someone. We experienced that we were wrong. We couldn't trust them. They hurt us. Now we can't trust anyone. Okay, so this comes from not feeling or being in touch with your own feelings. Okay, this is another thing I work on with my coaching clients. When you are in touch with your own feelings, and here's the thing, we have shame about feeling our feelings. So then we tell ourselves, okay, I'm not allowed to even feel my feelings. So if I'm with a guy who's sketchy and I'm not feeling my feelings, I'm putting myself in a sketchy predicament, and there's a pretty good chance that something bad is going to happen. But if I trust myself and I know my feelings and I let that internal guidance system guide me, and I'm like, ooh, that guy's sketchy, I'm not going to put myself in a situation with sketchy guy, right? Now, like I said before, I don't want to blame the victim, you know, and I don't really want to blame the culture, but like what's happened is we have this pervasiveness of shame, and we're not allowed to talk about this stuff. We're not allowed to feel our feelings. We're supposed to be these good girls who go along, blah, 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 and we get ourselves in all this trouble. And I don't want us getting in trouble. I want us loving ourselves. I want us trusting ourselves, and I want us trusting others so we can live in a beautiful world where we can experience trust, even if it's with one person, okay? So I want to move into number 3, which is creating safety in your relationships, okay? So whether you are abused or your partner was abused, let's start talking about it. Share, 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 share. That's what the Me Too, the hashtag Me Too movement is about. It's about sharing. The more you share, the less shame you have. I want you to remember this. Shame hates its name, okay? So the more that we talk about shame, the more you can share, the more you're being vulnerable, even like the more messy that you could get, right? That's somebody you can fall in love with. Think about it. Think about the people who have gotten messy with you and shared their like vulnerable. I mean, you've seen it in hashtag Me Too. People are sharing their stories and like your heart breaks and you're like, oh my God, I love her so much more now that she shared that. Like if that's true, give me some thumbs up, give me some hearts. You know, if you're grateful that your friends and family are sharing their shame, like, and that you're falling in love with them, give me some hearts. I want to see how that's true. So if you're sharing with somebody that you trust, yes, thank you everybody. If you're sharing with somebody that you trust, and then they use it against you, big red flag, okay? Do not share with people, do not get messy with people who are going to use it against you in the future. That is not protecting yourself. That is not trusting yourself. This is what I'm talking about. Trust yourself to know who you can trust. If you share something super vulnerable with somebody and they use it against you, that is not a person to trust. If you share something vulnerable with people and they are like, oh my God, I love you so much, go ahead and keep trusting that person, okay? What we don't want to do is say, you know what? I need you to prove to me that you can be trusted. No, that's never going to work. No one can ever prove to you that they can be trusted. But what you can do is trust yourself to know whether or not you can trust someone, okay? Is that all making sense? Give me some thumbs up if that's all making sense. Yes, thank you, Peggy. I'm so glad you're here with me. All right, so number 4, create a nest in your relationship with your intimate partner. Ask for a nest to be created. How often have you said to your partner, I need you to nurture me? We don't do this in our culture. We don't ask our men to nurture us. And if your man's been abused or your partner's been abused, you get to nurture them. You get to be mothering and loving like with a child to your partner. I'm going to cry because that's how we experience love, okay? Have sympathy and empathy and compassion for your lover who's been abused. Your love partner is a huge opportunity for you to experience love. You're a huge opportunity for them to experience love. Healing and love can happen in such a huge and big and profound way in your relationship. In my opinion, that's why we have relationships, so that we can fully experience ourselves and we can fully experience the love that's within us that we can offer to someone else. And we are the space to receive, I'm getting ahead of myself, that's number 6, receive the love that somebody else has for us, okay? It's a huge opportunity for growth. And as a couple, you get to learn how to relate to each other by listening, not by protecting yourself from your partner. If you're protecting yourself from your partner, why are you doing that? Like, this is an opportunity for healing and love and growth. And if you're protecting yourself from your partner, you really get to ask yourself, like, what the heck is going on here? Something's off, and you get support from somebody. I work with couples on this. I would love to support you with this. If it's not me, like, pick somebody, pick a friend, a family member, a coach, a therapist. I don't care. But if you're protecting yourself from your lover, like, there's something going on there that you get to look at. So here's a personal example. I get to be vulnerable today. So at the end of the day, if I've had a bad day or Mike has had a bad day, we literally ask for the nest. Like, I need you to be the nest, or baby, come here, I'll be your nest for you today. We can share vulnerably everything that's not working, and then I know that he's going to respond by listening and holding. Like, he'll just let me talk. What's cool about that is when I hear myself talk and I hear myself get really messy, then I have the opportunity to catch myself and be like, wow, I'm really being a victim, or wow, I'm really being hard on myself today, or man, like, I can't believe I'm having these thoughts. It's not very supportive, is it? And I'm actually able to pick myself back up because I'm being held in the nest. Like, I'm being held in this place where somebody is loving me and caring for me, and they're not telling me what I'm doing wrong, and they're not telling me how to do it differently. And like, I'm just allowed to express myself, and I do the same thing for him. And your partner in the nest literally becomes a mirror, even though they're not saying anything. Just because you feel loved and heard and seen, you can better know and experience yourself, just because somebody was there allowing me to get messy with them. Is that all making sense? If this is making sense, give me some thumbs up. If anybody wants to share any stories that they've had about getting messy with their partner, and you know, what it feels like to create a nest, or if you want to create a nest, write in the comments like, yes, 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 I want to create a nest. It's time for me to create a nest. Oh my God, I haven't been creating a nest. I haven't even asked for a nest. Like, if you haven't asked for a nest, write that in the comments. You know, a lot of times we haven't been taught to ask for what we need. Like, if you need a nest, ask your partner, will you be there for me? Like, I need to get vulnerable, and I need you not to judge me, and I need you not to say anything. Can you just hold me while I cry? Like, ask for what you need, okay? So number 5, and how we're going to move forward as a culture away from abuse and towards love. Number 5, let down your walls with your partner, okay? Not with everybody. You don't have to like be completely and totally exposed yet, you know, all the time. That's what I'm at that point. I'm working on being totally and completely open and vulnerable and exposed all the time. For me, you know, one of my biggest role models is the Christ, Jesus. That human being lived with no walls. I want to live like that, right? But before we can live like that all the time, we get to experience with the people that we trust. So, you know, when you have experienced abuse and you form this belief that no one can be trusted, we're actually screwing ourselves in the moment. Like, when I form a concrete belief that no one can be trusted, the only person now who's getting screwed is me. Because I'm not letting myself experience love. I'm keeping love out. I'm not accessing what's available for me. And it actually makes no sense. Because what you need most of all when you've been abused and hurt and neglected in any way is more love. So we're actually abusing ourselves again and again and again when we put those walls up, okay? So you want to let go of your past abuse, and if you do want to let go, give me a yes, I want to let go, and the way to do that is to let your protections down. Forgive yourself, right? It's not even about, I'm not even worried about forgiving that person who did that thing. Like, it's about forgiving yourself for holding on to all that shit that you held on to that's holding you back, right? So you get to forgive yourself and then let your trusted partner in so you can experience love and trust and intimacy and the beauty that comes with being vulnerable and messy. I'm like so on the verge of tears today because I know how beautiful it is to experience that, and I want that so badly for everyone. So don't deny yourself the most beautiful experience of your life because you've had these other really bad experiences that have taught you to shut down. I work with women to show them how to open. So if you're interested in learning how to do this, please contact me. Like, this is my mission on earth in this lifetime, and it's really important to me. I want you to experience love. I want you to experience healing, like penetrating deep into your core. I had a client last week say to me, you know, I texted her and I said, how are you doing today, after we did this hypnosis session where she actually felt full for the first time in her life. And she texted me back like, I don't even want to leave my house because I feel so full. I want that for you. I want that for everybody. So if you're not ready for it, but you know somebody who is, like, bring them in the group. You know, I really want the planet to feel this beauty and this healing. So number 6 is let love in, man. That's where we are right now. Let it in, let it in, let it in. It's what you really want. It's what we all want on a core level, on a soul level, on a deep, deep level. We want the soulmate. We want to be seen. We want to be heard. We want to be loved. We want to be open to receiving love, right? It goes with receiving money, receiving love, receiving all of that stuff that can come to us. This is about the power of manifestation. Now it's a little bit, I'm not going to get on that tangent, but when you aren't receiving in, it's because you have a block to the universe, some kind of block around your heart, and you can let in. It's your choice. It's a process and it's a journey and it's a commitment to healing, but it's yours for the taking, okay? So get yourself a good coach or a therapist who knows how to deal with like loving yourself, how to teach you how to love yourself and to let others love you. And don't deny yourself the love that I know that you want deep down inside of you. All of us are just 2-year-olds going, mommy, mommy, love me. And way too many of us had mommy turn her back and not pay attention. And it's so sad on like a soul level. And we get the opportunity now as conscious adults to reclaim that love. And so if you want that, please, please get the help that you need. I recently asked a coaching client that what would your life be like if you totally opened all of your walls and you loved your woman 100%, and she received your love 100% and gave you back 100%. And his eyes like opened wide like a deer in the headlights. And he was like, oh my God, I'm here working with you and I'm not even sure if I'm ready for that. You know, but he's brave enough to be in the question. And his life is shifting in such a huge and wonderful and profound way because he's willing to be in the question. And I want you to ask yourself the same question right now. What would it be like if you totally opened your walls and you loved your partner 100% and you allowed yourself to receive love from your partner 100%? Are you ready for that? So I just want to recap what we've gone over today. You know, we've talked about shame in the culture, the taboo of the culture, what is sexual abuse, and how we make these concrete beliefs around not being able to trust and putting up our walls. And the way that we can shift this as a culture and move away from abuse and move towards love is, number one, loving yourself. Number two, trust yourself enough to know who you can trust and allow yourself to trust others. Number three, create safety in your relationships. Be safe. Ask for safety. Number four, create a nest in your relationships. In your intimate love relationship, ask, what does it mean? Partner, what does it mean for you, for me to be your nest? And this is what it means for me, for you to be my nest. Number five, let down your walls. And number six, let love in. Okay, this is how we do this. If you guys are loving this, give me some thumbs up. Give me some little hearts. Sienna says, I love when my lady shares her darkness. It makes her even more beautiful to me. Yes, right. When we get messy, that's when we love each other. You know, like think about all of the times somebody shared something deep and scary and they've cried and you've held them and it's like, I love you so much, you know? I can just feel all that love in my heart. I can't hardly hold it in. And then Peggy said, I just did that yesterday. It brought forth such sweetness from Rob. Definitely created a shift for us. Yes, yes, beautiful, beautiful. I'm so happy. Oh, okay, so who wants homework that you can work on tangibly, like right now, to make this happen in your life? Really quickly, before I get into that, I want you guys, again, invite your friends and family, tag them in the group, tag them in the video, like invite them in, be like, wow, I just watched this video. It's about how we can move from an abuse cycle into abuse culture and shame culture into a culture of love, how we can love and trust and let our walls down. Let your friends in, invite them in. They will thank you for this information. And I want, okay, so for homework, really quick, here it is. It's really not that hard. It's write down the beliefs that you've decided to believe from these experiences that you've had with abuse, harassment, and sexual objectification of your body. After you've written down what you believe about the world, right? So the beliefs that you've made concrete in your mind about what you think about men, what you think about bodies, what you think about sex, like whatever it is, your beliefs, I can't trust people, whatever it is, I want you to reread it and ask yourself, is this the world I want to live in? And if it's not, you get to shift it. Okay? You get to decide what kind of world you want to live in. You get to decide what kind of men you want to be in relationship with, what kind of women you want to be in relationship with, what kind of world do you want to live in, what do you want to believe about who you are, what do you want to believe about yourself. If you don't like what you wrote down and you want to believe something different, write that down. Let that be your new vision of what you want to create, okay? If you'd like to believe that men are loving and kind, and generous and giving, and that they protect us and they nurture us and they provide for us and they want to make us happy and they adore us, which is what I believe, write that down. Because when you start looking for those things, you'll find them. I guarantee it. So I always saw my dad as this like really controlling and critical a-hole, really. And I started doing research on men. I spent I probably had 25 men do a 3 or 4 hour interview with me. In the last 2 years, I've been interviewing men because I really wanted to change this belief that I had, that men can't be trusted and that we live in this awful, god-awful society where people are horrible to each other. I had to shift that for myself. So I literally set up interviews with every man who was willing to talk to me. And I asked them all kinds of questions like, what makes you want to commit? What makes you, how come I can trust you? How do you know when you're in integrity with yourself? Like all kinds of awesome questions. And they all answered me. I recorded them all and I have it all as research. And I started realizing how amazing and beautiful and magnificent men are. And as I allowed myself to realize that, I was able to see it more. And it actually allowed me to be more free in my femininity. And my family is home. So it's perfect timing. So, of course, if you're wanting more information on how to do this right now in your life, you can work with me one-on-one. I actually did a body-mind therapy session yesterday where I was holding someone. I literally created a nest for someone and I'm moving them in so much slow. And the energy of all of this stored abuse just came up and out. It was so beautiful. My kids are knocking on the door. They want me to answer. So if you want to experience it locally through touch, I can help you release your emotions through touch. I also can do this virtually. I do it with clients all the time. The kids are knocking. All right, so if you want to release some of your emotional blockages, if you want to change your beliefs, we can do that through hypnosis. We can do it through retraining you. We can do it through feeling your emotions, letting go of your shame, all kinds of awesome ways that we can do that. You can start working with me one-on-one right now. And this summer, I'm going to be doing workshops to teach about self-love. And so you can, if you're not ready now and you're thinking maybe in the future that's something that you want to do, I'm going to be doing it like all over the country. That's my declaration. And I want to say thank you for joining me, because you spending this time with me right now is not only me getting to share my vision of the world and create peace on the planet, but also you getting time for yourself to experience peace, experience little me time, and taking time out of your busy schedule to take care of yourself, which is super important, and learning how to love yourself. So guys, thank you for joining me. I'm gonna let the kids in, and I love you so much, and I appreciate you so much for being here. If you have any comments or any questions, leave them in the comments. I will get to them after I answer the door with the kids. Okay, bye guys.